there's something that's not right, you're not making the look right, or you're not getting the thing right before going to the set, and there's this assistant director who'll keep knocking, sir, ready? So every minute. And you told them, give me 5. So there, obviously, the Jaat in you comes out and you tell them to And I used to sit there and think, hey, I don't fit into anything. Why don't I'm an actor, I should be able to fit into anything. But I did not like what was being made. I did not want to be a part of it. The way I wanted to approach my work was of no value to them. Why some of the privileged cinema family kids don't do so well, and a lot of them do as well, is they haven't had exposure. Exposure is what actually ultimately counts in your ability to do most things in life. I'm only 2 months old as a father, and it is a constant change and adaptation that I'm dealing with. But definitely I find myself smiling, sitting in a corner, thinking of my baby. I did not want to get married primarily for 2 reasons. I felt that no child should be put through the school system. It is the biggest torture, the most... I was standing and they were having a conversation, Nasir bhai, him, and there was a couple other people and me too. There was an exchange that happened that, hey, since I'm good looking, I cannot be a good actor. The love making and all that was there, it was very sensual and rooted in emotions, and it wasn't very pornographic. I wasn't very diplomatic. Like, the film industry is full of fragile glass egos and insecurities. And being from where I am in Haryana, you could say, "Arey, kya bakwas scene likha hai yaar." But I'm talking to the director. That's not, the director knows what I'm talking, where I'm coming from. Whereas now I'd say, hey brother, listen, this is all great, but it's a bit, I'm not comfortable doing it.
Hello everybody, I'm Rudwani and welcome to Spotlight Sessions podcast. ये वही जगह है जहां हम आपके फेवरेट कलाकारों को बुलाते हैं, उनकी ज़िंदगी को सेलिब्रेट करते हैं और उन्हें थोड़ा और बेहतर जानने की कोशिश करते हैं. इस दुनिया में, स्पेशली इन द इंडस्ट्री, उन्होंने अपने जीवन को इतना आप लोगों के सामने रखा हुआ है कि बहुत सारे ओपिनियंस फॉर्म हो जाते हैं. बट टुडे वी आर गोना ट्राई एंड शो यू द रियल साइड ऑफ देम. आई एम सो एक्साइटेड अबाउट माय गेस्ट बिकॉज ही इज़ ऑलरेडी रियल. अ ट्रू ब्लू आउटसाइडर जिन्होंने यहाँ आके अपनी एक जगह बनाई है एंड आई थिंक कोशिश की है कि वो ऐसे तरह की फिल्में करे जो अलग है, जहाँ उनको एक क्रिएटिव सेटिस्फैक्शन भी मिलता है, एंटरटेनमेंट भी होता है, and has made the best of every opportunity given to him. Of course, he's superbly talented. Talking about Randeep Hooda. Thank you for doing this, Randeep.
Thank you, and thank you for the great introduction. We have both been around for a long time in this industry, and we all carry baggages. But yeah, let's clear some air.
I love that. But more importantly, I did mean every single word that I just said about you.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
Because it is truly difficult. And I know we've had conversations about this over the years. But the fact remains that when you come from a very different world, the opportunities are not given to you. And
True.
You make the best of it. आपका थिएटर का बैकग्राउंड है और वहाँ से जो एक जज्बा आता है एक्टिंग को लेके वो बहुत अलग होता है. But the reality in entering the industry is very different.
True.
How did the actor within kind of make use of all the opportunities you were being given at that time? Because you kind of seem fully prepared.
Well, you take the opportunity and then you try and make the best of it. I mean, I feel that before I start every project that, hey, now I'm going to get caught out, that I don't know anything. And that kind of nervousness and going back to zero and not relying on any accolade or anything that you've had in the past. It is difficult, but that is the job too. If you want to have a longevity as an artist, you've got to keep going back to that zero and doing it. And, if somebody asked me to do it all over again, I don't think I'll be able to do it, or I'm not sure whether I'll be able to crack it again, because there's opportunity and there is so many things happen in your life that lead you to where you are. But I always felt that my father had told me when I became an actor, that, or even before I became an actor, he said that whatever you do, you have to know what you're doing, because then that you're not relying on the mercy of others. So for that, I wanted to really study acting. I numerous workshops with Nasir Bhai and numerous plays under his motley theatre group, which was really my learning curve. And then one grows out of that mentorship as well, and wants to apply things that I'm picking up, my experiences on the job. And there also the preparation is what counts. In fact, I have done roles where there's not much of a preparation involved, but then the preparation is to be present at that moment in when you call action. So it's a mixture of many things that, you are here today. I think it's my 25 years being here. And if somebody asks me did you do it, or how would you do it again, I say I don't know. One just has a dream, one wants to follow it, and one wants to not ever come across as somebody who's not done a good job. And that responsibility and that sense of pride that you take in your work is what drives you.
It's quite an honest answer. You almost sound exhausted when you say that. I don't know if I can do it again, or how I do it
I
again.
mean, it's destiny.
But I think you made it happen. When I say that, you did, because people keep talking about how you deserve so much more in comments, na? You will see every time you have a project and you go to the trailer and I check it out, there will be these comments saying, yaar, ye kitna acha hai. Why doesn't he get what he deserves? He deserves so much more. Why? और ये सवाल 25 साल बाद भी आते हैं, because when I saw the trailer.
Well, that's a good thing that people feel that I do deserve more. It'll be very sad if they said that he doesn't deserve what he's got, which would be the other end of the spectrum, and that would be really sad. I'm glad that they think much more of me than I have achieved, and I do also feel the same.
You do.
I do also feel the same. Even creatively, I think I am. I feel that if I apply myself more, I'll be able to do better. So that creative satisfaction of sitting back and, resting on some part that people liked has never been, it can never be a part of any artist's journey.
I'll follow it up with that question. Well, let me just point out a few comments that I read in the Inspector Avinash का जो trailer post किया गया था. Nasir ji says, what a coincidence, his name is Nasir. Indians really don't understand the level of acting and potential he has for different roles. He should be given more roles as he truly deserves it. One of the most underrated actors in Bollywood. Please watch this even if you do not like crime series because for him, to support him. Some say, finally Randeep has gone the way he started his career. Indeed, please keep going. Reprising Jannat to role once again. So why am I reading this comments, let me tell you, is just giving us to also reminder of how they know that you have not gotten what you got. I have a theory, maybe I'm wrong. You have discussed sometimes with me, so I get a little bit of information sometimes from you in our conversations as well about how you also were very particular about आपको ये कौन सा रास्ता चुनना है कभी-कभी. Of course you had to survive. ऐसा नहीं है कि you also wanted to earn money. So you did some particular things particularly for that. But then there were lobbies here. There were a lot of production houses where you had to really submit yourself and do exactly what they wanted, sign those deals. And you didn't want to really go the route where you would do something that you were not okay with. मतलब उसूलों के against जाना खुद के.
Yeah.
So I feel like, would you agree? Would you think that you have?
Yeah, I've never had dearth of roles. It is just that I have done roles which, for other reasons than just creative decisions, but those roles also I've tried to do the best to my ability.
Would you like to example?
I don't want to get pinpointed to somebody else's project.
Okay.
It's in bad taste, but even there I did the best I could. But, for example, I used to see when we had come into the industry, play promos and trailers and songs and stuff like that. And I used to sit there and think, hey, I don't fit into anything. Why don't I'm an actor, I should be able to fit into anything. But I did not like what was being made. I did not want to be a part of it. The way I wanted to approach my work was of no value to them because of many things. So I tried to, I luckily got a break. I saw a teaser or a trailer of Company, and I said, hey, I could do this. And as destiny would have it, I'd land up on Ram Gopal Verma's door, and there was where my journey in Hindi film starts. I'd done Monsoon Wedding before that. And then he also stopped making films and producing and all that, so I was a bit lost. So, you have to, at the end of the day, whatever other things that might come through a role, you have to be there and you have to be honest with yourself and try and give in an honest performance. And that would not happen if you don't believe in what you're doing or the role you've got or the genre that you are or people you're working with. You can take a little bit of it, but if you keep doing that, you lose yourself. And I was not ready to lose myself. I had certain principles, I had certain ways that I wanted to work. And I didn't care if I was not seen or if I was not a part of a movie for a long time. I mean, OTT and all came much later. When social media came much later when I had started. I actually started on film cameras. So one had to take, out of 25 years that I've been an actor, I've not been on set for, I think, 11, 12 years, not even one day. So that was a decision you took that, okay, I'm going to sit it out, or there were other reasons that I'm prepping for a role and I'm so immersed in it and that movie finally does not happen or something else goes wrong. The whole investment of their time and everything, you really need to be your own cheerleader in a very strong way to be able to have that conviction that even if this doesn't happen, or if I am not seen or I'm out of circulation, I will find my groove again. That becomes very hard, and it's not that it's there all the time. You would doubt yourself, you doubt many things, but you got to bash on regardless. And as a result, I have worked with more than 25 first-time directors, which I've enjoyed very much. Their enthusiasm and a lot more things. So instead of waiting like a wicket keeper for for the so-called successful production houses or directors to tap you, I went about doing, okay, this much, I'll do it, I'll do this, I'll do that. And I've committed to it with all my heart and soul. And I have seen through so many years and still feel that I've been a bit non-corrupted by the entire journey.
You say that, and then I also think that there was this entire narrative about you around the time when you were slightly, getting the roles and you became popular, that, because you stood your ground, I'm assuming, there was also a narrative that, you were extremely arrogant and rude, and on sets you would come and be like, you would change scripts, and but you were also an outsider who was doing that, and there were a lot of actors who still do that, right? But that discussion used to go on, which I know there is another story too. Maybe you should tell us what was happening there.
I don't think I have had any disrespectful exchange with the director on any creative thing ever, except for once when I was doing an anthology film for the factory, somewhere where me and Ramu also had a fallout. Apart from that, there hasn't been, though I did not realize that the mouthpiece of the chatter that goes on in movies is from the assistant directors. So when you're getting ready and there's something that's not right, you're not getting the look right, or you're not getting the thing right before going to the set, and there's this assistant director who'll keep knocking, sir, ready? So every minute. And you told them, give me 5. So there, obviously, the Jaat in you comes out and you tell them, and that might have added to a bit of it. But I don't think anybody I've worked in so many movies, I've repeatedly with the same directors. So I don't know where that reputation came from. Yes, most of my homework I do before the shoot. So I've not hardly had any conversations. I think it was the fact that in the beginning I was also a bit novice, and there must be point of views where I have disagreed with the director, but I've always given his take and then done my take as well. So I think it was blown out of proportion, and also because I was not mixing around with people too much, and that kind of Chinese whispers grew beyond its merit. But apart from that, I don't think that has been the case. And also, it is also the way you deal with people. I mean, I wasn't very diplomatic. Like, the film industry is full of fragile glass egos and insecurities. And being from where I am in Haryana, you could say, "Arey, kya bakwas scene likha hai yaar?" You know, but I'm talking with the director. That's not the director knows what I'm talking, where I'm coming from. Whereas now I'd say, ki, "Hey, brother, listen, this is all great, but it's a bit, I'm not comfortable doing it."
What a drastic.
Yeah, so, but I mean the same thing.
Yeah.
And being from Haryana, being a Jaat boy, I think the way we talk, a lot of people, when my friends and me are talking, they would come and say, "Arey, kya ho gaya? Ladai ho rahi hai?" We can, "Nahi yaar, ladai nahi ho rahi hai." So that was a bit of a thing which I think I suffered. I was too blunt and in your face and meant what I said and said what I meant, which is not the way the film industry works, with its fragility in its own creative confidence.
Did your post a fallout with Ramu? Did you want to sort things out and see, because your collaborations were epic at that time with
Yeah, I'd be sorted it out. I mean, so many times. He's offered me so many roles since then. I did not want to be a part of them. And because I also felt that there was a volume of work which was then, diluting the creative energy that Ramuji was putting into his films. And so that was the time I walked away. And also at that time, I bought my first horse and I started competing as a show jumper. There have been many instances where there is a national show jumping nationals and there's a movie at that time and I have to prepare. I'd say I won't do it and I would go ride horses. But over a period of time, you quickly realize that you got to do something to pay for the damn horses. So you come back with a tail between your legs and say, "No, I'll do this, I'll do that." But yeah, Ramu and me are good friends now and have been for many years. Those fallouts were very temporary. All things are very temporary in film business.
Do you really think doing Rang De Basanti would have changed your career? Do you regret that decision?
I have mentioned it in the past that would have changed. It would have created a difference because you would have been associated at very close range, and those people would have then realized that the Chinese whisper reputation that comes with you when you walk into the door is not really true. And secondly, you would have gotten into a more friendlier place with the people generally involved, and the fact that that movie did well. So apart from these things, once you've taken a decision, I mean, either you get the results that you wanted or you get the results which destiny wanted for you. Either way, you just got to brush it off and move on. What I made a mistake was that I would get stuck in a role like for Saragadi for 3 years and other such instances. And not understanding that just being totally consumed and romantic about your work, there are other practical things that you have to look at. And in the film industry especially, you've got to keep moving. You've got to keep moving. You've got to keep moving. And once you get a hang of that, then I kept moving. And I always used to do one film a year. I was from the star status of Amir Khan at that time, but I still did it because I felt that I have to concentrate on it, create a difference from what I did last time, so that, the work is interesting for me and it's interesting for the audience. And that's something I've followed over and over again. In 25 years, I've only done 40 odd titles. I've not done many. But I wish I had worked more, but there was just not enough available that would ring true to my sensibility and to give it my all like I want to.
Do you have other regrets of not doing films similar like that? Have there been such films you were like, I don't know, it didn't work out at that moment, but I think this is one regret I have not doing it?
For the same three reasons. Other than that, no. No. And also, I've said no a lot. My first response to any creative thing is no, because I somewhere as a person and the kind of way it consumes me, I'm scared to take things on a personal level because
Is that imposter syndrome?
I think that's just a nervousness because I am coming not from a confidence of done it before. And I really do leave myself open to a new energy and a new thing. I tried in everything, and that's what it is. And it is really challenging to commit yourself completely to many things. And it's, I guess that's works for me.
When you say committing yourself completely, you have. There have been roles where you have done drastic transformations. They talk about Christian Bale's transformation in Machinist, and then we think about what you've done.
I feel very chuffed when I say that because I really admire Christian. And his approach to work and the way he does it is absolutely brilliant.
But you have been at it in a lot of roles. You gave an example of one. Of course, there's been, Sarabjit, what you were able to do later in Savarkar. And I think a lot of roles, the kind of transformation you brought must obviously physically, the transformation was crazy, but I think it also takes a toll on you mentally.
It's mostly mentally, emotionally, that, when you try and imagine yourself in all these situations and try and believe in it by doing different things to make it more believable for yourself, that experience somewhere does touch you and maybe might leave a scar as well. But there is a great joy, great sense of joy to be able to forget your reality and be consumed by the material in the script and all those things. Savarkar and Sarabjit were two films which were drastic weight loss, but that's something which is in your face. But even in Inspector Avinash, my whole body language, my accent, my eyes and everything is a very different thing that I had to create, though it's not so drastic. Similarly, if Do Lafzon Ki Kahani, I'd built up this massive physique, and from there I went to Sarabjit, which made it more challenging. And as I said earlier, that, it is 90% of your preparation can be covered by actually physically engaging with a part, because you cannot rely on emotions to be. Your emotions can betray you at any moment, but your body doesn't. Your body memory is far more important.
There have been a lot of discussions about how you have used method acting to completely embody the character. Like, for example, I remember Highway ke samay mein, there was that incident that I know where you kept yourself alienated from Alia's character because you wanted to create that alienation, that sort of pain and the distance between. Can we talk about that? Because I think that's also another level of commitment. And
that was more to do with helping Alia with her performance. She was a young kid out of Jew who had never seen the world in that way, especially India. And me and Imtiaz did have a talk about it, and she was quite green at that time. She'd done just one movie, some school pop culture film. So it was more to do with her, helping her in that, and in the process, it helped me as well. And the divide of socio-economic, cultural divide between the two characters was something which had always fascinated me, because I do come from that other part of the world, and I'd seen my family members driving trucks and stuff like that. So that was that. But that particular thing with Alia was to help her more than me.
You brought a family, and I know that one thing that we all know is you are very proud of your Jaat identity. है ना? यहाँ पे आके लोग बदल जाते हैं. You always carried it. You've always put it in the front and
Don't know where you're coming from. You probably don't know where you're going to go because you don't know where your back end is, so you won't know where your front end.
for your father who once wanted you to be, you know,
My
from
father's a
that,
doctor,
of course, but
and he also, like everybody else,
he wanted you to be a doctor.
he didn't want to be a doctor, but he realized that I'm not cut out for that. Then want to be an engineer or many such things. See, every parent, especially coming from small towns, they feel, biggest thing is that they cannot help you in any way because they're not a part of the world. They don't know how it works. So who's going to guide you? How are you going to survive? How are you going to make a living? Will you be able to take the failure which happens? And Haryanvi culture at that time was a bit more rigid, though it's not so anymore. And I am proud participant to changing the opinions and outlook of people.
Yeah.
Earlier, I used to joke that if you throw a stone in Warsaw, it's probably going to hit a Bengali. But I think it's changed. If you now throw a stone, it's going to probably hit a Haryanvi. There's so many of them here, and I'm very. It's very encouraging to see that.
Do you think your formative years in Melbourne, where you were trying to make money for yourself, you were dealing with that struggle before you entered the industry, you know, living, working, and doing all of that, and going through racism that you also faced at that time, kind of made you added to the person who's entering the industry, which would again be harder for you, for someone who was outside, because those experiences are a part of you, Randeep, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, driving a cab was a big part of my experience because you get to observe humans at a very close quarter, and you usually forget that there's a driver in the car. So that was a big experience for me. In fact, whenever somebody says, want to be an actor, I said, just live a life, go to college, and or school, whatever. But it's the experiences of your life that make you then later identify with it or gives you the courage to go find it. And those experiences are the bottom line. Why some of the privileged cinema family kids don't do so well, and a lot of them do as well, is they haven't had exposure. Exposure is what actually ultimately counts in your ability to do most things in life.
The conversation of racism has increased so much now, especially Indians spend abroad. At that time, where did you find that strength to stand against it?
Oh, I was a Jaat boy. I was no weakling. We could stand up to those bullies for sure. That's not a problem. It seems that the world has more problems now than ever before. And I'll to tell you something. You read the old books and articles and somebody like Parsai or somebody, and you'll realize that it has always been the same. The older generation feels the world was better when they were younger, and the younger generation feels the other way. So that has always been the case. With the advent of social media, what has happened is that incidents that would not be reported or would not be talked about or opinionated upon are now there for everybody to engage with. And that is why I think it makes everybody feel that everything has increased more. But we as a human race have been pretty much the same, except for now all of us have shoulder pains because of the phone and have a very small window of attention.
During Once Upon a Time in Mumbai, of course, your character was really loved. There is a swag that I think Randeep Hooda gets to a lot of his cop roles, and I think Inspector Avinash again has that kind of swag as well. Now, this is my opinion. It comes very naturally to you also because you have the Jaat background, and I feel there is a certain swag in people who come from villages naturally.
Yeah, because they have grown up in an environment and are surrounded by people who have a similar swag And I would say that the swag that I'm able to bring is from my Jaat roots. I would agree with that. And also the foolhardiness to keep going, as you said, in being an outsider and being so choosy about, and so sure of what I want to do and how I want to work. It comes from a foolhardiness of coming from Haryana, and there is an attitude that enriches all of us from that state, which is देखी जाएगी, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा क्या होगा. So that thing is always there, and that fearlessness or foolhardiness, both the same, are coming from that root, and I'm very grateful that I was. But also, that was also, as I mentioned earlier, has been an impediment in my social network of the film industry.
You know, when earlier you told me that I'm a very changed man, it is true. You're way more calmer, more patient, right? You're, of course, congratulations are on the way. You're a father.
Yeah.
And I'm sure now you're even more sort of calmer and patient. Am I right about that?
Yep.
Fatherhood taught you a lot of that?
I'm only 2 months old as a father, and it is in a constant change and adaptation that I'm dealing with. But definitely, I find myself smiling, sitting in a corner, thinking of my baby, like you would when you were a teenager in love. And there seems to be a purpose in your life beyond your own self, which gives you an energy to do better, to be a better human being for their sake. And there is a certain, baby voice and all those things that come out of you which you didn't know you had, and your ability to be a joker in front of your baby, all those things are a big change, and it kind of, softens you. And you also see that, hey, of all the things that you carry for as many years as you've been around, your beginning was this, and that kind of gives you a parameter of how far you've come away from that innocence and dependency and what you could go back to.
From a man who didn't want to get married to a man who's sitting in front of me who's probably given the world such a lovely love story. You've never believed or listened to what people's opinions of how you should lead your life, right? Like the younger Randeep Hooda, when you were dating, people knew about it. But you took a very different stand over the years. You had very public breakups in your life. You came to a point where you protected this, and now everybody talks about how do you have this kind of dreamy love story that you have? How does it work? How do you do that? I think you can tell us, because I feel for you also it's a journey.
Yeah, it is a journey, and I did not talk much about it earlier as well. But, I've always believed that your personal life is very personal, and when it comes into public, too many opinions and nazar gets in the way.
Yeah.
And I did not want to get married primarily for two reasons, which both I have overcome. One was that I was married to my work. I had no working hours. I was working all the time or whatever, and I did not have any time or patience to share it with somebody. And then I found Lynn, who I was able to, and she understands that part of me, that the biggest part of me is committed to my work. But also, and the second reason was that I felt that no child should be put through the school system. It is the biggest torture, the most useless education that is imparted to us, which is of no value to us when we grow up. So I did not like school much. I did not like the regimentation, and I did not like what even then I knew trigonometry का मेरे को life में क्या फायदा होगा, मुझे तो नहीं पता. So that was a big thing. Then over the years, education changed. Then when we were young, it was mostly hoarding of information. I don't know why even in the UPSC exam today there's so much hoarding of information that is used as a tool to ascertain people's ability to do something. But now the systems have changed, and now there are other forms of education which you can have your child go through, which is what me and my wife have been talking about. Uh, so when these things changed, and of course, you have nothing in your own hands, things happen to you while you're planning something else, and that's called life. And that's what happened to me, and I'm all the glad for it that I did it. And in fact, my parents, who had always been proud of my work and work ethics, uh, feel that this is the greatest thing I've ever done.
I think it's wonderful. Just see the way you look at your life today. I feel like you've always been very honest about the journey that you had here. Well, I'm talking about that. There's a part of your journey that a lot of people like to talk about, right? When you came in, they say that एक तरह के लोगों को hero बनने के लिए कहते थे. But you were really appreciated for the way you look. And for a person who came from theatre, a lot of directors, especially the entire Bhatt camp, like they like to call it, they did try to make you this poster boy of erotic thriller for a while, and showcase you the way you should be, as they said it, in full glory, in accepting your sexuality, but also making it entertaining for the audience. How do you look at that phase in the movies that you've done that? Because that gave you a lot of following who stayed, like I said, they were compiling that.
I realized over cinema, when I was a kid, I did not have Robert De Niro and Nasiruddin Shah and all these people on my walls. I had Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone and Tom Cruise and Clint Eastwood. That was what I wanted to be. But when I started learning about it, when I did Monsoon Wedding, it all changed for me when I met Nasir Saab and I discovered that, hey, all that is there, but it's a joy. When I did Monsoon Wedding and we were having a party after it won the Leone d'Oro, and I came back after a little dance period of frenzied dancing with very high spirits. I came and sat down with one of the distributors of that movie, and he said to me that, hey, you were the only person who I seen was not acting. And I was like, wow, I didn't tell anybody this. And I went into more serious exploration and joined Nasir Bhai's troupe But if today somebody was to give me that compliment, I would take it as a compliment and not as a distress call to learn more. And the other thing that happened to me was I used to accompany Nasir Bhai to NSD and FTI for many years and other places where he took workshops. And I was there once in NSD, and there was this German theatre director who was very big. And I was standing, and they were having a conversation, Nasir Bhai, him, and there was a couple other people and me too. And there was an exchange that happened that, hey, since I'm good looking, I cannot be a good actor. That also affected me a lot. And when Monsoon Wedding released, which also had its own fan following in young girls for that character.
Absolutely.
At the same day, I was doing a play called Manto Ismat Hazir Hain, where I grew a beard and all that. And I always tried to make myself more into character rather than be beautiful. Which was coming from that place that if you look very good, people don't take you seriously as an actor. And that's where somewhere I lost it. But then you have to realize that film medium is a physical medium first. And I didn't pay attention to it. I was on my own spree of becoming characters and this and that and that and that. And also I found it rather stupid to be in a movie where all of a sudden all these dancers appear out of nowhere and you got to do this PT steps and gyrating, and I found that absolutely, utterly stupid. And I could not be a part of it. And Nasir Bhai told me that you should learn dancing and other. I said, I learn dancing if I'm a part of a dancer. But what is this? This is absolutely ridiculous. But I guess, Indian movies' biggest way of promoting any movie is through the music. But now that's also being challenged because there are other avenues of music, we are not dependent on Bollywood music. So there are movies which are made, which are big successes and nobody's dancing in them. So I think my time is now, and I think with the COVID and Saragadi, which 3 years, and COVID, and in between, and Savarkar again took me 2 years, and so I lost out on a lot of good working time in my life, almost 10 years, which I now plan to make up, and I want to go out there and outdo myself.
But I like the fact that you don't like disregard the sort of A-rated movies as you call them, right?
No, I'm coming back to Murder and Murder 3, 4, or whatever that was, and Jism 2 and all that. Even in those, I did my performance part very sincerely.
Of course.
And even the lovemaking and all that was there, it was very sensual and rooted in emotions, and it wasn't very pornographic.
Very interesting you said that. Also, the other aspect is, you share such a wonderful bond with Salman. You've been friends for a while. You're a long time. There is a theory that most of the films, because you've done Sultan, Kick, you've done even more films. There is a theory that if, while they're interesting roles as well, like Sultan and everything else, that there is also a bond that you feel if he comes to you, you will do it.
Yeah, I have done that in the past, and I really love him. He's a great guy, and he's been a great friend to me. Probably one of the only few people I do hang out with in the film industry, him and probably Sajid Nadiadwala.
Correct.
Apart from that, I don't really hang out with anybody over the years, and they have tolerated all forms of me, which I'm very grateful. But more and more, as you experience and you reach in your journey, I'm becoming more of what I was, that I would not turn up on set unless it's really ringing my bells. And now I've got another saying. I won't leave my house and my daughter unless it's something extraordinary.
So, which is why we are excited about Eetha as well.
Yes, but we shall leave that conversation because that has not been begun by the makers themselves.
Fair enough. But
So I do not want to comment on that. Only when we get to that.
we've seen your pictures though. So
Yeah, well, great. You have. I haven't. Where have you seen the pictures?
the few on sets with Shraddha.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't.
You can't stop today, right? Everybody has a phone. You're like shooting outside and stuff. But we are excited because I think it'll be interesting to
Yeah, I'm
see.
also very excited. I love Laxman as a director and as a person. He had first come to me for Aurangzeb in Chhaava, and I was very underweight. I had my head shaved. I had just stopped shooting for Savarkar, and I was doing the post. I was going through an IP court case, and I had so much Hindu-Muslim thing going on in the whole narrative and everything, and I just did not want to go down that street.
Okay.
So after that, when this movie came on board, I liked it. And of course, Dinesh Vijan, who I have worked with, is one of his first productions, which was Cocktail. I had a small part in it.
Yeah, you did.
Which I did because I needed to pay for my horses at that time. I've got a good relationship with him. And I think there was another movie that he did, Love Aajkal too, with Imtiaz. He was a part of that as well. So I really like his sensibilities as well. So that's how this whole thing happened, and I'm really glad to be a part of it.
It took many years for you, not say you, the whole production to come with Inspector Avinash. But from someone who didn't want to do this role, to you committing to a second season is quite a massive journey. For someone like
Sure, it has one season. They paid us for one season, made it two.
But it's interesting because I know one thing for now, like you rightly said, if you're committing to something, then you have to be happy to it.
I
now.
don't know what other way is there to do it. Even in a film like Jaat, where, I was, it was a very different genre of a film with a lot of Telugu sensibility. And Gopi Chand, who is the director of that, I did not want to play a character which was not Jaat in a movie called Jaat. So many such things. But he had a very interesting take on the villain, and I was like, I said, I feel I'm out of my depth, and I've been working as an actor, director, writer for 2 years, and to just go on a set and take somebody else's direction and all that. So I said, okay, here's how we going to do it. You tell me what you require for the scene, and I'm going to do it. So even in that, though my commitment was not an overall character creation, but to every shot you've got to give it your best because it's going to be seen by so many people and my parents.
Ending on this note, of course, everybody I think is excited about season 2. You'll have to tell me just 2 characteristics that you absolutely love about your character, you know. And has there been any other character in your career that comes closest to who Randeep Hooda is, which I'm sure as an actor you wouldn't want, but I'm just curious.
I've in fact turned down movies which went down to be great successes because it was playing me. It was
Really?
playing Randeep Hooda, and I totally disinterested me to be a part and play myself.
Yeah, I know that.
Though over the years you realize that everything is yourself. Everything is a part of yourself which you embellish with other things. You find the differences and the similarities with the character and you try and come to a point. With Inspector Avinash, the fun that he has with people and the wit and of course the swag which makes it very entertaining and great to play a scene. The other any other character that will come as close to this or be 2 characters. One would be Shankar from Lal Rang,
Lal Rang.
which I'm going to make a second part of. And maybe LSD from one of the Bagi movies, Loha Singh Dhul, where I play this
Really?
created character, who was also a very fun character to play. So these 2-3 characters are more on the fun side of my personality, which while doing them you enjoy them more because they're not burdened by so much emotional trauma.
Fair enough. Very, very excited to see all that is coming up because, you're an actor that, like everybody says, deserves so much more love. So we are cheering for you.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being who you are.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.